Well, good morning, all. On my way home on the old 401. Going through the GTA. I'll give it a few minutes to let people log on. A lot of people upset, and that's good. I'm trying to clean house. I want to get things going right. And that's why we're going to talk about Mitch McConnell and Donald Trump today, as Donald Trump went at it against Mitch McConnell. And I want to talk about Kentucky, a state in the U.S. that doesn't get a lot of attention, but it sure produces some of the greatest individuals of all time in North America, right out of the little state of Kentucky. And why that is, Canadians should pay attention. And, for my American followers, it's important too. Republicanism as you've never known it before. What distinguishes Kentucky from every other of the 50 states in the United States of America today? What actually distinguishes it from any place in North America today? Well, that's called the Civil War, ladies and gentlemen. It's called Abraham Lincoln, who was a Kentuckian, and Kentucky was a border state of the North and South. For those who don't know the history of Kentucky, they weren't in the Civil War. They refused to get involved for a limited amount of time because they were the state where all the action of the Civil War, most of the action was fought. All the big battles were right in that divider, Kentucky. That was the Battle of the North and South in a large margin. To put it in perspective, I talk about the cannon fodder of Canadians in World War I. We all celebrate Remembrance Day, November 11th, the armistice for the League of Nations, as they took their properties in Africa from other colonials, i.e. Germany. But the reality was, for all the lives lost in World War I, you can look at no other place as Kentucky. There were 100,000 soldiers in Kentucky for the Civil War. 30% lost their lives. Neighbor versus neighbor. Can you imagine a pivotal state of the Civil War where North and South do extreme battles? Kentucky has the greatest record of Civil War monuments, historical sites, battlefields than any other state in the United States of America. They lost the most lives out of any war in just one region, never mind countries going at it. 30% of Kentuckians died who entered that Civil War. They were divided north and south. Their state was neighbor versus neighbor. They know all about revolution like nowhere else in all of North America. They know all about war like no one else in America. And they have a distinguished constitution like no other state in North America. It's a pretty amazing place if you haven't seen it. In fact, I promised former UNSC ambassador to the USA, permanent rep Kelly Knightcraft, who's also a Kentuckian, I promised her I would do an analysis just as I did several other states, and I did, of course, West Virginia. I did a really good video on that, and she certainly wants me to do Kentucky. I've put it off, but I think now's the time. Canadians, you don't have anything in common with the United States of America. Those who run to Trump, who throw Mitch McConnell in the garbage can, you best take a step back, read the Kentucky Constitution, read the history of the state of Kentucky and what that state went through. Absolutely unprecedented in any North American history. By far, it was the most deplorable casualties ever experienced in any war. And Kentucky educates this like no other state in the United States of America, even to this day. It's incredible. I'll be going through that. I'm going to do a professional video. I made a promise to Kelly Knightcraft I would see it done. And Mitch McConnell, he needs help as Donald Trump goes at him. And, Easy from far off New York, Donald Trump. Really easy. When your state never went through nothing like that state, doesn't have a history like that state. And we all know how left New York is anyway. But I'll be doing that for all of you so that you can learn a little bit about truth as it really is, history as it really is, history that should be shared. Canadians have no clue. They've never experienced nothing like that ever in our history. Never, ever. Never, ever. Really a country that's disgusting, to say the least. You have the 13 states versus the province of Quebec, believe it or not. That history's never been shared. You have Mexico and USA. You have the Civil War in USA. You have France and USA. USA fought war after war after war to get to where they are today. It's an amazing story, really. It's an impossible feat. It's the last real true democracy for the people, by the people. The very oldest institution, really, in constitutionalism. Very oldest. People argue about the Magna Carta, but what good is a charter if the king gets to decide how those charters are to be implemented anytime he or she decides, whether it's king or queen? And that's the history of monarchies. They're a joke. And what little promises were made were never kept. And it's the illusion of democracy. But the United States of America, one place on this earth where people took that base and turned it into something real. And they fought and died for it over and over and over again. They took on every monarchy of the day over and over again. They even took on Canada. And whether it was win, lose, or draw, the United States won their union. They won constitutionalism for the people, by the people. And many countries today have adopted that institution. Not so much Canada, but many others. We'll get to all that. But I do have to shake out the crabapple tree. I've taken on way too many radicals. The PCC is festered. If people haven't figured it out already, I've been provoking and provoking and provoking to draw out the poison of the party. I can't go with these radical narratives. I don't care what people say. I've never cared about following. Followings are easy to rebuild, and I will rebuild again. I always do. I take my lumps because I'm a real one. And I learn from mistakes, and I only go with the truth. And that's all I care about. That's my video today. Look forward to Kentucky. I'm going to make sure that's done for both Mitch McConnell and Kelly Knight Craft. That'll be a permanent YouTube video. And I'm going to get that done for this weekend. Thanks, everybody. Look forward to it. It's a good one. Bye now.